You're sitting in your favorite armchair, the one that creaks just a little when you lean back, a warm cup of tea in your hands, the steam curling up like a lazy morning fog. Your knees ache, maybe your hips too, and someone, probably your well-meaning neighbor, tells you, "Oh, that's just your joints wearing out." Happens to everyone when you get older. Sounds familiar, doesn't it? That's where we start today, you and me, unraveling the tangled web of myths about osteoarthritis in the elderly. Because let's be real, that worn-out joint story is not the whole truth. Not even close. You probably heard osteoarthritis described as the inevitable price of aging, like your body's just a car with too many miles on it. The cartilage in your knees or hips, they say, grinds down like old brake pads until there's nothing left but bone rubbing on bone. It's a vivid image, sure, but it's also one of the biggest misconceptions out there. Osteoarthritis isn't just wear and tear. It's more like a complex conversation your body's having, one involving inflammation, genetics, and even how you've lived your life. Picture your joints as a well-loved book, not just falling apart because it's old, but marked by the way it's been handled, the stories it held, and maybe a few spills along the way. Let's take a step back to the 19th century, when doctors first started piecing together what osteoarthritis really was. Back then, they called it chronic rheumatism, and thought it was caused by everything from damp weather to moral failings. Yep, they actually believed bad behavior could make your joints ache. Talk about a wild diagnosis. Historians still debate whether those early doctors were seeing osteoarthritis or something else entirely, like rheumatoid arthritis, because their tools were so limited. No x-rays, no MRIs, just a stethoscope and a lot of guesswork. It's a reminder that even science can stumble before it finds its footing. Now, here's the thing. Osteoarthritis doesn't just sneak up because you've celebrated too many birthdays. Sure, age plays a role. Cartilage thins over time, and joints take on more stress after decades of use. But the idea that it's universal? That's a myth. Not every older person gets it. Some folks in their 80s are out there hiking, dancing, or chasing grandkids without a twinge, while others in their 50s are wincing with every step. Why? Because it's not just about time. Your genes, your weight, even old injuries, like that time you heroically tried to jump a fence and landed wrong, can tip the scales. And here's a quirky tidbit. Did you know that osteoarthritis in the hands can sometimes be predicted by how strong your grip is? Researchers once found that weaker handshakes in middle age might hint at joint issues later. So, next time you shake hands, maybe give it a little extra squeeze, call it a health check. But let's get real for a second. You're probably thinking, okay, if it's not just aging, what is it? That's where the inflammation angle comes in. Osteoarthritis isn't just mechanical wear. It's your body's immune system getting a bit overzealous, attacking the cartilage like it's an uninvited guest. This isn't the dramatic swelling you see in other conditions, but a slow, sneaky process that builds up over years. And here's where it gets tricky. Some folks believe popping a daily aspirin or avoiding certain foods, like tomatoes, believe it or not, will cure it. Spoiler alert, no single pill or diet fix exists. If it was that easy, we'd all be munching salads and skipping to the finish line, right? Speaking of skipping, let's talk about how this myth affects you. When you hear it's just aging, it's easy to shrug and think there's nothing to be done. That's the trap. It makes you feel like you're stuck, like your body's betraying you. But here's the truth. Osteoarthritis is manageable, and understanding it is a first step. You're not doomed to creak like that old armchair forever. By the time we're done, you'll see that this condition doesn't define you. It's just one part of your story. And trust me, your story's got plenty of chapters left. So, where do these ideas come from? Why do we keep hearing that osteoarthritis is just old age knocking? That's what we'll dig into next, peeling back the layers of history and culture that shape these myths. For now, picture yourself standing a little taller, maybe stretching those shoulders. You're not just getting old, you're navigating a journey, and I'm right here with you. Picture yourself now, maybe easing into that same cozy armchair, the one that knows every curve of your back. The room's quiet, save for the softness of a distant clock, and you're wondering, where this idea come from that osteoarthritis is just your body giving up on you? Why do people keep saying it's normal to ache as you age? Let's take a walk through time, you and me, to uncover the roots of these myths about osteoarthritis. It's like peeling an onion, layer after layer of history, culture, and a few quirky surprises that shaped how we see this condition today. Back in the early 20th century, when medicine was still shaking off its leeches and liquor phase, osteoarthritis wasn't even called that. Doctors labeled it senile arthritis, a term that makes you wince, right? It's like they thought your joints got a senior discount on function just because you hit a certain age. This was a historical truth. The term senile was slapped on anything vaguely age-related, implying decline was inevitable. By the 1920s, medical texts described it as a disease of worn-out machinery, cementing the idea that aging equals breaking down. No wonder your great-aunt Mildred believed her creaky knees were just old age settling in. But here's where it gets interesting. These misconceptions didn't just come from doctors scribbling in dusty journals. They were woven into the fabric of culture, too. Think about the stories we tell, fairy tales, even remember those old crones in storybooks, hunched over, leaning on canes? Society painted aging as a slide into frailty, and osteoarthritis got caught in that narrative. It's like we were all taught to expect pain as a rite of passage, like getting wrinkles or forgetting where you park your car. And let's be honest, when was the last time you saw a movie where the wise elder was doing yoga instead of hobbling? Exactly. Now, here's a strange tidbit to chew on. In some ancient cultures, joint pain was seen as a badge of honor. In medieval Japan, for instance, samurai who lived long enough to feel their joints ache were revered for their endurance. Talk about a plot twist. Pain wasn't weakness. It was proof you'd survive battles, both literal and figurative. Historians still debate whether those samurai were dealing with osteoarthritis or other conditions, since medical records from the 1400s are about as reliable as a weather forecast from a fortune cookie. But culture isn't the only culprit. Family stories play a big role, too. Maybe your dad used to say, "The family curse, bad knees," every time he struggled up the stairs. Those offhand comments stick, don't they? They make you think osteoarthritis is your destiny, passed down like an heirloom you didn't ask for. But here's the kicker. While genetics can increase your risk, they don't write the whole story. Your lifestyle, how you move, what you eat, even how you handle stress, has a say, too. It's not just a family curse. If it was, we'd all be doomed and I'd be out of a job, right? Then there's the media, always ready to oversimplify. You've seen those commercials, haven't you? The ones with silver-haired folks wincing as they climb stairs, followed by a cheery voice promising a miracle pill. They feed the myth that osteoarthritis is both inevitable and a one-size-fits-all problem. It's like they're saying, "You're old, you're broken by this." But you're smarter than that. You know your body's not a used car lot, ready to be scrapped. Still, those ads shape how we talk about aging, making it feel like pain is just part of the package. This cultural baggage weighs heavy. It makes you think there's no point fighting osteoarthritis because it's normal. But normal doesn't mean unavoidable. You're not just a passenger in this aging game. You got some control over the wheel. You're still with me, maybe easing back into that cozy chair, feeling the soft fabric under your fingertips, the faint hum of the world outside fading away. We've traced the myths about osteoarthritis back to their roots, those old stories that pin joint pain on aging alone. Now, let's get under the hood and explore what's really happening in your body. Osteoarthritis isn't just a byproduct of time. It's a complex dance of biology, genetics, and lifestyle. Picture your joints as a living machine, not just grinding gears, but a system that adapts, reacts, and sometimes protests. Ready to dive into the science? Let's go. Your joints, knees, hips, hands, are like the hinges of a well-used door. They're lined with cartilage, a smooth, rubbery layer that lets bones glide without friction. In osteoarthritis, that cartilage starts to break down, but not just because you've walked too many miles. Back in the 1960s, researchers confirmed a key fact. Osteoarthritis involves inflammation, not just wear and tear. Tiny molecules in your joints, called cytokines, can trigger low-grade inflammation, nibbling away at cartilage like termites in wood. It's not the dramatic swelling you'd notice, but a slow, quiet process that changes how your joints work. And here's the kicker. This isn't just about age. Your body's been having this conversation for years, influenced by more than just a calendar. Let's talk genetics for a moment. If your parents or grandparents had osteoarthritis, you might be more likely to develop it, not because of some family curse, but because of inherited traits in your cartilage or bone structure. Imagine your DNA as a recipe book. Sometimes includes a note that says, make these joints a bit more fragile. But genes aren't destiny. Lifestyle plays a huge role. Carrying extra weight, for example, puts more stress on your knees. Each pound of body weight adds about 4 pounds of pressure to those joints. No wonder they complain. And old injuries? That sprained ankle from your I can still play soccer phase in your 40s? It might be whispering to your joints decades later. Now, here's a strange tidbit. Did you know that osteoarthritis can affect joints differently depending on your job? People who spend years kneeling, like carpenters or gardeners, often develop it in their knees, while painters might see it in their wrists. It's like your joints keep a diary of your life's work. Historians still debate whether ancient laborers, like those building the pyramids, had higher rates of osteoarthritis due to their grueling tasks. Without x-rays from 3000 BC, it's anyone's guess, but skeletal remains suggest some pretty worn-out knees. Let's lighten things up with a little humor. You know how people say, my knees predict the weather? Turns out there's a grain of truth there. Changes in air pressure can make joints feel stiffer, but it's not like you're a human barometer. If you were, you'd be on the news, forecasting rain with every creak. Seriously, though, this sensitivity comes from irritated nerves in your joints, not some magical weather sense. And speaking of myths, some folks swear that eating nightshades, like potatoes or eggplants, worsens arthritis. Spoiler, science says there's no solid link. So, go ahead and enjoy that baked potato guilt-free. What's fascinating is how your lifestyle shapes this condition. Smoking, for instance, doesn't just harm your lungs. It can weaken cartilage repair. On the flip side, staying active gently, not like you're training for the Olympics, can keep your joints happier. It's like giving your hinges a little oil to keep them swinging smoothly. But here's where it gets tricky. Not all exercise is equal. High-impact stuff, like running on concrete, might stress your joints more than, say, swimming or yoga. It's about balance, not pushing through pain like you're auditioning for a superhero movie. So, you're not just a victim of time's march. Your joints are telling a story of your genes, your habits. Even that one time you tried to dance like nobody's watching and ended up limping. Osteoarthritis is personal, not universal. Next, we'll tackle another big myth. The idea that treatment is all or nothing, like surgery's your only hope or exercise will ruin you. For now, take a moment, maybe wiggle your fingers or stretch your neck. Your body's a marvel, and we're just starting to understand its language. You're still here, maybe nestled in that familiar chair, the faint scent of your tea lingering, the room quiet except for the soft creak of the floorboards as you shift. We've unraveled the science of osteoarthritis, seeing how it's not just age, but a mix of biology, genes, and lifestyle whispering in your joints. Now, let's tackle another tangle of myths, those about treatment. You probably heard things like, surgery's the only fix, or don't exercise, you'll make it worse. These ideas can feel like heavy weights, pinning you down, but let's lift them off one by one and see what's really possible. First, picture this. You're at a family gathering, and your cousin swears her friend's knee replacement cured their osteoarthritis. It's tempting to think surgery's the golden ticket, isn't it? Like swapping out a busted part in a car. But here's the truth. Surgery, like joint replacement, isn't the only path, and it's not a cure. It's a big step, often helpful for severe cases, but it's not the starting line. Back in the 1970s, when joint replacements became more common, they were hailed as miracles. And they can be life-changing, don't get me wrong, but they're not for everyone. Some folks manage just fine with other approaches, and jumping straight to surgery skips a lot of options. Historians still debate whether the rush to popularize joint replacements overshadowed less invasive treatments, like physical therapy, that were gaining traction at the time. Then there's the exercise myth. You've probably been told, don't move too much, you'll wear your joints out more. Oh, come on. That's like saying you shouldn't drive your car because it'll use up the tires. The truth? Gentle, targeted exercise, like swimming or walking on soft ground, can strengthen the muscles around your joints, easing the load on them. It's like giving your knees a supportive hug. Studies show that staying active can reduce pain and improve mobility, but it's about picking the right moves. Running a marathon might not be your best bet, but a slow yoga flow? That's like a love letter to your joints. And here's a quirky fact. In the 1980s, some doctors recommended bed rest for joint pain, thinking it would save the cartilage. Imagine lying still for weeks, only to find your muscles weaker and your joints stiffer. Talk about a plot twist. Now, let's talk about those miracle cures you see advertised, creams, pills, or gadgets promising to melt your pain away. Maybe you've tried a menthol rub that feels cool and tingly, like a winter breeze on your skin. It might help for a bit, but it's not fixing the root issue. Or those supplements, like glucosamine? Some swear by them. But the science is shaky, more like a hopeful whisper than a proven shout. The real magic lies in consistent, practical steps, not quick fixes. And don't get me started on the idea that you should just push through the pain. That's not toughness. It's like ignoring a check engine light. Listen to your body, not that uncle who says, just walk it off. Here's a little humor to lighten the mood. Ever notice how every health ad seems to show someone sprinting happily after taking a pill? If it were that easy, we'd all be jogging to the moon. But seriously, managing osteoarthritis is about balance, not extremes. Physical therapy, for instance, can teach you how to move smarter, not harder. Things like heat therapy. Think a warm towel on your knees can loosen things up before you stretch. Even small changes, like wearing supportive shoes, can make your joints thank you. It's not glamorous, but it's real. The trouble with these myths is they make you feel stuck. Either you go big with surgery or you do nothing at all. But there's a whole toolbox out there. Physical therapy, weight management, even mindfulness to cope with discomfort. It's not about curing osteoarthritis. There's no magic wand to that, but about living better with it. You're not broken. You're just navigating a new chapter. Next, we'll explore how to do just that, with real stories of people who keep moving, keep living, despite their creaky joints. For now, maybe try a gentle stretch. Feel your shoulders relax. You've got more options than you think. You're still here, maybe with your legs stretched out, feeling the gentle pull of your muscles, the quiet of the room wrapping around you like a soft blanket. We've just debunked those treatment myths, showing you that osteoarthritis isn't a one-way ticket to surgery or a life of sitting still. Now, let's talk about living with it. Really living, not just getting by. This is about the practical ways you can manage osteoarthritis. From small tweaks in your daily routine to stories of people who keep dancing, gardening, or chasing their grandkids, creaky joints and all. Picture your life not as a fading sunset, but as a canvas you're still painting one bold stroke at a time. Managing osteoarthritis starts with movement, but not the kind that leaves you gasping. Think low-impact activities. Swimming, where the water cradles your joints like a warm hug, or cycling, feeling the breeze as you pedal through a park. These strengthen the muscles around your joints, like scaffolding supporting an old bridge. Back in the 1990s, researchers solidified this. Regular, gentle exercise can cut pain by up to 30% for some folks. It's not about becoming a gym rat. It's about moving smarter. Maybe you try Tai Chi, flowing through slow, graceful motions like you're dancing with the air. It's not just physical. Studies show it can lift your mood, too, like a quiet rebellion against the pain. Now, let's talk about weight. No judgment here, just facts. Shedding even a few pounds can ease the pressure on your knees and hips. Imagine each step feeling a little lighter, like you've set down a heavy bag. Diet doesn't mean starvation. Think colorful plates of veggies, lean proteins, maybe a slice of that cake you love, but smaller. And here's a quirky tidbit. In medieval Europe, some healers thought joint pain came from eating too much heavy food, like bread or cheese. They weren't totally wrong. Rich diets can stress your body, but they also prescribe bizarre cures like bathing in herbs. Bet you're glad we've got better options now. Speaking of options, let's meet someone who's living this. Picture Clara, a 72-year-old gardener who refused to let osteoarthritis steal her roses. Her knees used to ache so much she'd wince just kneeling to weed. But she worked with physical therapists, learned to strengthen her legs with chair exercises, and now she's back in her garden, dirt under her nails, smiling like she's won a secret victory. Clara's story isn't unique. People everywhere are finding ways to keep moving. There's also Tom, 68, who took up swimming after his diagnosis. He jokes that he's part fish now, gliding through the pool like he's 40 again. These aren't superheroes. They're you, me, anyone who decides to keep going. Here's a little humor to keep things light. Ever try to open a jar with stiff hands and feel like you're auditioning for a comedy show? Clara did, too, until she got one of those gripper gadgets. Now she laughs, saying it's her secret weapon against pickle jars. But seriously, tools like these, braces, canes, or even ergonomic chairs can make daily tasks easier. It's not about giving up. It's about adapting, like swapping high heels for cushioned sneakers that feel like walking on clouds. Historians still debate whether ancient societies had better ways of managing joint pain through community support, like shared workloads that eased physical strain. Without modern medicine, they leaned on each other, a lesson we could borrow today. Asking for help, whether it's a neighbor carrying your groceries or a therapist guiding your stretches, isn't weakness, it's strategy. Add in mindfulness, deep breaths, focusing on the moment, and you're not just managing pain, you're reclaiming control. It's like turning down the volume on a noisy radio. Living with osteoarthritis means rewriting the story you tell yourself. It's not about what you can't do, but what you can. Maybe you won't run a marathon, but a walk around the block, feeling the sun on your face, is its own kind of triumph. Next, we'll tackle the stereotypes that try to box you in, painting older folks as frail or past their prime. For now, maybe stand up, shake out your hands. You're not just living with osteoarthritis, you're living, period. We walk through practical ways to live with osteoarthritis, meeting folks like Clara and Tom who refuse to let their joints write the end of their stories. Now let's face the bigger picture. The stereotypes that try to box you in, painting older folks with osteoarthritis as frail, sidelined, or past their prime. These ideas are like old, cracked wallpaper. Time to peel them away and see the vibrant life underneath. You're not defined by your condition. And today, we're rewriting that narrative, celebrating resilience and the potential for a full, rich life. Society loves its labels, doesn't it? The minute someone mentions arthritis, eyes glaze over, and people picture a hunched-over figure, moving slowly, as if age and pain are the whole story. But let's flip that script. Think of Margaret, 75, who teaches a weekly dance class, her hips swaying to salsa despite her osteoarthritis. She laughs, saying her joints complain, but they don't get to vote. Or consider James, 80, who still volunteers at a community garden, his hands knotted but steady as he plants seedlings. These aren't exceptions. They're proof that osteoarthritis doesn't mean the curtain's closing. You're still center stage, directing your own play. Let's step back to the 19th century for a moment. Back then, aging was often romanticized as a time of wisdom, but physical decline was seen as inevitable. Doctors like Sir William Osler wrote that old age brought inevitable infirmity, and osteoarthritis was lumped into that grim view. That mindset lingers today in subtle ways, like when someone assumes you can't join a hike because of your bad knees. Historians still debate whether this view stemmed more from medical limits or cultural bias, but it's clear it shaped how we talk about aging. It's like society handed us a script that says, slow down, you're done. But you're rewriting it. Here's a quirky detail. In some cultures, like rural Japan, older adults with joint pain are still seen as vital community members, teaching crafts or storytelling despite their aches. It's a reminder that attitude matters as much as biology. In the West, we're quick to focus on what's lost with age, but what about what's gained? Experience, perspective, the kind of grit that comes from decades of navigating life's ups and downs. Osteoarthritis might stiffen your fingers, but it doesn't dim your spark. Ever try knitting with achy hands and realize you're still creating something beautiful? That's you. Define the stereotype, one stitch at a time. Let's inject a bit of humor here. People sometimes act like having osteoarthritis means you're one step from a rocking chair and a lifetime supply of crossword puzzles. But come on, if crossword were the cure, we'd all be puzzle masters by now. Seriously, though, these stereotypes can make you feel invisible, like your story doesn't matter. But it does. Every step you take, whether it's a slow stroll or a determined stride, is a middle finger to the idea that you're too old to live fully. Margaret and James aren't outliers. They're your neighbors, your friends, maybe even you on a good day. Breaking these stereotypes means owning your narrative. It's about small victories. Choosing to walk to the mailbox, joining a water aerobics class, or just laughing through the pain when your grandkid challenges you to a dance-off. It's also about community. Support groups, whether online or at the local center, can feel like a warm fireside chat where you swap tips and stories. You're not alone in this, and that's powerful. The real tragedy isn't the pain. It's letting someone else's outdated ideas define what you can do. As we close this chapter, picture yourself standing a little taller, maybe feeling the sun's warmth on your face. Osteoarthritis is part of your story, but it's not the title. You're still writing, still moving, still you. Let's slow down now, take a breath, and reflect on what this journey means. We've unraveled the myths of osteoarthritis, from the idea that it's just old age to the stereotypes that try to dim your light. You've seen it's not about worn-out joints or inevitable decline, but a complex story of biology, choices, and resilience. You're not a passenger in this body. You're the author, pen in hand, crafting a life that's still vibrant, still yours. Feel the weight of that truth settle in, like a warm shawl on your shoulders. Every step you take, every small choice, whether a gentle stretch, a laugh shared with a friend, or a moment of rest, is a defiance of the myths that say you're done. You're not. Your joints may creak, but they're still carrying you forward through gardens, dances, or quiet evenings with a book. Think of Clara, Tom, Margaret, and James living fully, not despite their osteoarthritis, but alongside it. Their stories are yours, too. So, as you move forward, carry this. You are more than your pain, more than society's expectations. Take it slow, be kind to yourself, and keep writing your story one beautiful, stubborn step at a time.